Golf Smarter, number 599, is brought to you by the podcast Radio Baseball Cards. It's July. Time for Baseball Summer Classic, the All-Star Game. And this month on Radio Baseball Cards, we're going to focus our attention each episode to some of the great All-Star stories by the greatest players of the 20th century. If you're a fan of baseball, especially if you love the history of baseball, you'll really get a kick out of our latest podcast. This week's episode features one of the all-time goods. I say that because as great as he was, he may not end up in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame, but not baseball's Hall of Fame. But Fred Lynn holds the distinction of being the first player to be named Rookie of the Year and League MVP in the same season. Incredibly, he's also the only player to achieve this all-star distinction. Do you know what it is? If not, then please check out the 2-minute Radio Baseball Cards at smarterpodcasts.com or subscribe for free and get each new episode delivered automatically from wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Another guy on a personal quest to be a better golfer. By request, YouTuber Brendon DeVore of Be Better Golf.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Brendon.
Hey, Fred.
How are you?
Very good.
I'm so glad to have you on. This is an interesting thing that we're getting together here because, honestly, I received an email from a listener who said, oh, you got to check out Brendon DeVore's catalog on YouTube. He's got great stuff. I love him. He would be great on your show. So I went to your YouTube channel, and I was very impressed. You do some great stuff. But it seems to me to be similar of what I do, which is interview golf instructors on how can I become a better golfer. And so I wrote back to the guy and I said, well, yeah, he has really good stuff, but, it's kind of redundant, isn't it? And he's like, I said, so can you convince me why he should be on the... He sent me like 9 well thought out paragraphs of why, and I was like, okay, I've got to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's a golf person who's investigating how to get better, interviewing a golf person who's investigating how to get better. So
yeah, right.
It's pretty wacky.
Comparing notes. Are you better? Yeah, I'm better. Okay, kind. It was great talking to you.
Yeah.
But congratulations on your Be Better Golf, your YouTube channel with 22,000+ subscribers. That's amazing.
Yeah, when I go over to the YouTube space quite a bit because it's here in the Los Angeles area. I'm in Long Beach. YouTube space is like up in this place they call Silicon Beach. Anyway, so when I go up there and I talk to like the YouTube bigwigs and stuff up there, and I say 22,000, they're like,
yeah, so
whatever. That's nothing. But in the golf space, it's pretty good because golf is such a niche thing, especially for on YouTube. Like the biggest golf channel in the entire world is only 240,000 subscribers. So it's
who's that?
It's getting them. That's Me and My Golf. English channel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Me and My
Golf. Yeah, they're 2 English guys that do a instructional thing.
Very cool.
But that's the biggest golf channel in the world, and yeah. So I've been doing this for 2 years, and yeah, I've seen a pretty good growth, and as you've seen, like the people who do watch the channel are super into it. So I've been grinding hard at it.
Yeah. So of course I wrote to you and invited you to be on the show. And I had to introduce, I felt like, hi, I'm Fred Green and I do the Golf Smarter podcast. And you wrote back going, I know who you are. It's like, you do?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I've listened to your podcast for a long time. I think it's the very first thing that comes up when I type in golf. So it's, when I was looking for something to listen to on work. Yeah. I listened to a lot of your episodes. Some of them are funny too, because I hear some of the people you doubt, I hear the same that you interview. I hear the same doubt in your voice at the beginning of your conversation, because a lot of people, especially now, the thing that started the whole channel for me that was really discouraging to me is I saw this study that one of the pros that I had been working with years ago, about 8 years ago, I said, oh yeah, I just shot a good score. He's like, okay, that's good, because the USGA did a study that says that almost no golfers get any better after they've been playing for 3 years. almost every, and this study of USGA did of handicaps said that after playing for 3 years, people they keep trying, for the most part, but they stagnate, they plateau, and then as they start to get older, they start to decline, and then eventually a very sad death that you never got any better at golf. And this whole thing was like so depressing to me. I'm like, what am I doing if I'm not going to get any better at this game? And originally that was the attraction to golf to me, beyond, because I played some other sports and stuff in high school and as a kid. And it always seemed like, well, I'm not 6'7". I'm not going to be a basketball player. I'm not, the physique for any other type of sport. But golf, that's the thing, like when people say like, oh, golf is not a sport, it's a game. And to me, like, that's like liberating to me, that golf to me is a game, because a game feels like something, oh, if I practice this game and get really good at the elements of this game, I can get a lot better at it and be like elite level at it. Whereas like, I don't care how much I practice rugby or practice even baseball. Like, I'm just never going to have, I'm not going to be Aaron Judge or, one of the members of the Kiwi rugby team. It's just physically it's not possible. But in golf, it just seems like you could do it. So it was really depressing to hear that nobody's really getting any better in golf. So I was going through some stuff and I decided I wanted to start to interview pros, and I had seen some really interesting YouTube videos because I was obsessed with watching YouTube golf videos. And in watching them, I would come up with more questions than answers from all these videos. So, well, this guy says this guy said that. So when I first started the channel, all I wanted it to be was just an interview show, Be Better Golf show, where I would go interview pros. And when I first started interviewing people, the first person I interviewed was Monty Scheinblum, who's now a good friend of mine. And when I first started interviewing him, and you can see in my first interview, it was, I was kind of like contentious with him, because I'm like, well, if you say this, then what about this? And I was kind of like, you could tell I was kind of irritated, and I wanted to like kind of be like I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I wanted to be like, a little bit more in your face, because I thought that either golf pros were either A, hiding something, or B, hiding the fact that they didn't really know. And so I really wanted to get to the bottom of it. And now, 2 years later, the channel's been going for like 2 years, I've interviewed a lot of people, a lot of different golf pros. And I feel like I've got a much clearer idea on really what golf instruction is all about, and really how to get to actually get better. Like, the core audience for Be Better Golf anyway are longtime golfers who just feel like they've plateaued and just like aren't getting any better. And a lot of the people who subscribe to the channel, I get emails all the time about new lows that they've broken and barriers they break in, and that they've gotten a lot better. And personally, when I started the channel, like you, Fred, when I started the channel, I've gotten a lot better since I started. I started the channel, I was just under a 4. I think I was a 3.9 handicap. But the thing about my 3.9 handicap when I started the channel was, like, if you looked at my anti-handicap, which is like, instead of taking the 10 best scores, if you take the 10 worst scores of your last 20, like, my anti-handicap was terrible. It was like, because I would, even as a 3 handicap, I would have days where I'd shoot 86.
Wait. So tell me, what do you define as terrible? If you're a 3.9 and you got, what does terrible mean? Because you're probably at a place where most people go, I would die to get there.
Well, no, I mean, as a 3.9, I'd be shooting 85 or 86 on some days, and then it maybe the very next day I might go out and shoot 74. But it was like I don't know. To me, that was really, really, really bad, and there was zero fun in shooting those kind of scores. I mean, just because because it really hurts you emotionally, because you're like, man, because I've always been like a very, very hard practicer, like unbelievably hard. I like practice very hard, but like I put in like a lot of effort into it, a lot of money and emotional effort, and also like taking time away from my family and stuff to practice golf, and I just wasn't getting any better. And then I'd go out and shoot, as almost a 4 handicap. as just under a 4 handicap, you shoot, 12 or 13 over par, and you just feel like your entire life is just being wasted into golf. Like you think about, like Larry David said, like you think about, like, I could be like the world's greatest magician if I had put in this many hours into being good at magic, or this many hours into learning Chinese or something else. So it hurts your feelings. But the thing now, after doing the channel for 2 years, my handicap has gone down to, the revision just came out. So it's a 1.5 now. And if you look at the anti-handicap, it's a lot better. And the channel has changed since it's first started off just being interviews, but the people kept having questions about my own game. They were saying, like, oh, you're doing all these interviews, like, are you getting any better? And so I started vlogging. Now I vlog almost every single round I play. I show basically every shot, and I play a lot of competitive matches against college golfers and high school golfers in this area, which is a huge key in getting better too. And I basically show everything. So it's been really good. The only negative of having the channel that's been weird is when I started the channel, obviously I was an amateur, like everybody. And then the USGA started to see my channel, and the USGA director of amateur status kept sending me letters. Like, I'd been doing the channel for about like a year and a couple months, and he kept sending me letters and said, hey, we have questions about your amateur status. Ooh. And I was like, all right. And I had just played in some tournaments, some amateur tournaments. I had a good finish in the Long Beach City. And I won the member guest at a exclusive country club and some other stuff. And so this guy wrote to me saying, basically, if I'm doing a golf channel about a golf instruction and I'm getting money either directly or indirectly, like through the ads or whatever, that are just like on the YouTube videos, he said, then you are earning money for golf instruction and you are now a professional regardless of your skill. So basically I got thrown out of the world of being able to play amateur golf tournaments. So now I'm in somewhat of a limbo, because I'm now basically a professional golfer, even though I didn't really want to start playing professional golf or anything. So I'm basically a professional golfer, but I'm not good enough to play in even these mini tour events. So I'm really actually grinding super hard at my game now, because I do want to start playing competitively. And that would be like things like the Bow Tour, Golden State Tour, things like that, where I probably won't like take any pros money. But if I get a little bit better, I might have some okay finishes, and that'll at least be good content for the YouTube page.
Wow. First of all, I was totally depressed in the beginning of your comment, because it was like, they're saying nobody gets better, because I've received, and I'm like you, I've received a lot of emails from people thanking me that they've gotten better by listening to the content. Right. And so it was like, really? People don't get better? I mean, I was having a conversation with my son the other day, who's shooting now in the low 90s, and he's very frustrated. Want to be more consistent. And it's like, wait a minute. A year ago, you were shooting in the mid hundreds. You were shooting 105, and now you're shooting mid. Take it one step at a time. That's pretty phenomenal. He went, oh yeah, I guess you're right. It's like, oh my God, you're kidding. Yeah, you just got to take it one step at a time. But people get better. I guess nobody has the time or wants to practice. They just want to, if they feel like if they play enough, they're just going to get better. I don't know if that.
Well, I guess if you look at the entire population of golfers in America, it would be a little bit different than people who subscribe to the Golf Smarter podcast or the Be Better Golf YouTube channel. Like the people who are listening to this podcast and watching my YouTube channel are like on another level of golf obsessed, you know?
Yes.
So most golfers are out there. Most golfers are out there, like, maybe they practice once a month, maybe. And usually they just go directly from the parking lot to the course. And it's just like a relaxed type of thing. And golf, like I think David Ledbetter said, is the type of thing where you get out of it what you put into it. And it just, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work just to make your handicap budge a little bit. And then beyond work, it also takes a lot of like brains to get better at golf too, because if you're just like a workhorse and you're grinding it super hard, but you're not working on the right things, or you're not really keyed into the thing that's holding you back, you could easily go backwards and get worse. So, that whole thing, I think that's more for the entire general population of golfers.
Sure.
I do think the grinders get a little better, but for the most part, unfortunately, I think that study's more correct than it's incorrect.
Yeah. Okay. But
that's not to say that people can get better. And I definitely
yes, absolutely.
think, yeah. If you put the work into it and you're smart about it, yeah, you can be better. Absolutely. And about 6 months into doing the channel and the interviews, I wasn't sure about that, but now I'm absolutely positive about it.
Yeah. Because I feel like, well, again, I feel like I have a master's in golf instruction now, because I've been interviewing instructors for 12 years about things, and I just pick up nuance. I pick up little bits and pieces there, and I've definitely gotten better. I feel like I'm a much smarter golfer and strategically a much better golfer than when I started out.
How are your scores now compared to, I don't know, 5 years ago or 12 years? If you just look at the straight up scores.
Oh yeah, I'm now shooting mid 80s, and I was when I was starting the show, I was ecstatic to break 100.
No, I remember listening just a couple of years ago. You were talking to some guy about almost never breaking 90, and now you're shooting mid 80s. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. And now I'm like really focused on my short game stuff, and that the whole notion of turning 3 shots into 2. Oh my God! If you are not on the green and you can't get into tap in range, you're really wasting a lot of shots. And it's really helped me dramatically to focus on that on the practice. I also practice a lot of low punch shots because I seem to be under trees a lot. So I find that to be a very useful shot to have in the bag. We've had these conversations, Tony Manzoni, these things a lot about all the different clubs. If you could just take out one club and just do a lot of different shots with one club, then you're going to improve. Right? Yeah,
I listened to that podcast about hitting, 120-yard 7-iron, even if you don't need to, but being able to do that kind of stuff.
Right. Thank you. I'm very flattered that you listen. I really am. Thank you very much. And did you ever hear Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, Revisionist History?
Well, I've listened to, I know the 10,000 hours rule, and I used to really, one of the things that got me started on doing this channel was I used to be a fan of the Dan plan.
We had him on early on.
And right. So I used to be a fan of the Dan plan, and then in being a fan of that,
this is the 10,000 hours, right?
Exactly. So
yeah. He figured if he can put in 10,000 hours, he can be a scratch golfer.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, he the plan was to be on the PGA Tour after 10,000 hours.
Oh, okay.
And
where is he?
So Dan had some financial problems and also some back problems and other things. So it never happened. But I don't think it necessarily proved or disproved. And the other thing too, like with your son, the other thing too is like I think like every hour you do when you're young is almost equal to like 10 hours when you're older. It's just it sinks in so much better.
It's one of my all-time favorite quotes. I asked somebody, so how do you get good at golf? He said, start when you're 6.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, look at everybody. Well, that was one of the things that fascinated me, that the people that I would really love to interview on the channel now are people like Y.E. Yang or Larry Nelson or Lee Trevino. Those guys are personal heroes to me because they didn't start golfing until they were, I think each one of them was around 22 to 23. Mm-hmm. So I started golfing when I didn't start golfing until I was 23 or 24 when I moved to California. So the thing that helped me be able to, in my first 3 years, be able to get, below like a 5 handicap was that I did some videos for like an indoor golf learning place, and in return they let me practice there and gave me lessons. And I was not working otherwise at that point, so I would just go into this place for 6-7 hours a day and just hit balls, look at my swing on video, hit balls, look at my swing on video. But in this journey of doing the channel, so when, like I was saying, I first started doing all these interviews, but I would the original point of the channel, kind of, maybe this was the original point of the Golf Smarter podcast, but the original point of Be Better Golf on YouTube was to make me better personally, because I figured if I could show myself getting better, because I didn't even know if getting better was possible when I started it. But if I could show myself getting better, then that would be like, proof of concept for everybody else to like, okay, keep at golf instruction and everything else. So my goal in the channel isn't to just interview different professionals with all their different opinions forever and always have a new opinion, always have a new interview. It's not really what I want the channel to be about. It's really, for me, has been about finding something like, so for now, for example, so I've interviewed a whole ton of teachers and also some like training aid people, putting manufacturers, other things. So now, like, I really think I know what I need to do personally to get a lot better at golf, and I've been playing better. And so now I'm not doing as many interviews now because I'm really confident in what I'm working on right now, like the golf swing philosophy that I'm going with right now. So now, like you, like I'm getting more into short game things, more into mental game things that are kind of like the things that pros do just by habit. And I'm getting a lot more into developing the channel from like searching for everything into more kind of like a performance vlog. So I do lots of different vlogs of myself getting better. One of my friends who has been on the channel a whole bunch, his name's Andrew Fernandez. He's a really good junior golfer. I've been following him. He's playing in this big tournament called the Long Beach Match Play Tournament. So we did a vlog of his qualifying rounds where he shot 63, 71, and now he's gone through the rounds of 64, 32, and 16 in the match play, and tomorrow I'll be filming him in the round of 8. So it's like getting more into performance and stuff like that, and if I start playing really terrible again, then I'm going to start to do more interviews and stuff like that.
Ah, interesting. So I two questions I want to ask. I'm going to finish my thought. Malcolm Gladwell has a podcast. Last year was his first season, and it was like one of those podcasts that gets the kind of attention that Serial gets, right? I mean, it's a phenomenal show, and I really like Malcolm Gladwell. But he just released this week. He just released season 2, episode 1 of season 2, and it's on Los Angeles golf. So you're going to love it, and you're going to hate it. He says, I hate golf, and by the end of this episode, hopefully you will too. And so I've listened to half of it, and I'll listen to the other half today, but I was laughing through the beginning of it, and it really talks about the elite nature of golf in Los Angeles, and that it's just pretty much there's only country clubs in Los Angeles, and you can't play on a public course, and there's no parks there, and how they got around it. It's very interesting, but he's missing the point. He's looking at it from outside the fence going, you guys suck. You're a bunch of old rich white guys, and then you don't work hard. And, it's like, no. You're missing the point about putting a club in your hands and watching the ball fly, man. You're missing it completely.
Well, I've played through the channel. I've been invited to play some of those country clubs up in LA.
Oh, you have?
And
oh my God.
Yeah.
This is such a success story. I love this.
Yeah. So, and I've played up there, but also if you look at just LA, so you're talking about like Bel Air, Hillcrest,
Bel Air is the focus of his story. Yeah.
Wilshire. So if you're talking about just those, and I have like 3 good friends that are caddies at Bel Air. And so if you talk about just those, yes, I can understand, but it only takes from there, if there's no traffic, which there never is, but if there's no traffic, it only takes 15 minutes to get from Bel Air Country Club to Chester Washington Country Club, or not Country Club, to Chester Washington Municipal Golf Course, which is an all minority population golf course. And I used to play skins games there all the time. They've had guys who've gone on to play on the senior tour, European senior tour. And then if you come to Long Beach, it's all municipal golf out here.
Yeah.
Definitely more on the East Coast, like where my brother lives in Virginia and stuff like that. That's more of a country club atmosphere. Like basically you're either a member or you're going to a high-end resort course. There's not really any municipal courses. But like in Long Beach, for example, like I'll play golf later today as a resident. It'll cost me like $25.
Oh,
so
on a Friday.
It'll take me forever to play. I might not finish.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it doesn't get dark till after 8 o'clock, at least not up here. I was down in Southern California last month, and a cousin of mine said, "Hey, let's go. We'll play Costa Mesa Country Club." And I'm like, "Ooh,
yeah.
country club,
oh,
great,
country club.
right?"
Yeah, right.
You know. And I get there,
yeah.
and it's a beat up Muni, and it's like, "Oh, okay, I get your point."
Well, there have been quite a few places around here that are converted from. I think at one point that was a country club, and now it's not. Now it's owned by the city.
I want to ask you about the vlogging part. You said that you vlog, which is video blogging. So your YouTube channel is your primary distribution point, or do you do an audio podcast as well, or a newsletter? What else do you do?
Yeah, it's really
it all
just
Twitter?
the YouTube channel. I also have, so it's youtube.com/BeBetterGolfShow. But if you type in Be Better Golf, anybody will see it. And
yeah,
I appreciate anybody subscribing, obviously.
Absolutely.
But yeah, YouTube is the main thing. I also have a website, but it's bebettergolf.weebly.com, and sometimes I'll put like my thoughts there, but mostly that's just like a portal to post my videos.
And how much time do you spend on Twitter?
About your golf? And then my other main thing that I do is Instagram. So BB_golf show. That's like Instagram's cool just because it'll show YouTube videos. The thing about having a YouTube channel that is annoying, the only thing that's annoying about it is the editing is very difficult.
Yes.
Shooting I love doing. Like I go out and shoot, I interview people, even now, like I'm so used to shooting myself, so to speak, when I do the vlogging that it doesn't really even affect my game at all. But getting all that footage home and having to cut my entire round into a 25-minute video, and then everything else I do, to make it watchable and to make it have context, takes a lot of time. And YouTube is not my main deal. I have a day job and stuff too. So basically, I have 2 young kids. After my kids go to sleep at 9 o'clock, so most nights I'm up till 1 or 2 a.m. editing.
Yep.
For the channel, and then so it's the editing that's the bear. So if I could click my fingers and have anything, it would probably be like to be able to hire an editor or at least like a high-level intern to do the assistant editing, because that's been the most difficult part of it. Yep.
I actually received late Wednesday this week, I got a call late in the afternoon going, "Oh, can you shoot this event for us?" And I'm like, "Sure." And they said, and then just slap something together. It's like, what do you mean?
No.
It's video.
No.
You don't shoot something that's 4 hours long and have all this footage and then slap something. It takes a long time, folks. Even a 2-minute piece takes a long time.
You just say, like, if you give me a card, I'll shoot it, and then I'll give you the card.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, the editing is a whole new deal
thing.
We have to ask. Yeah,
whole different thing.
So that's the other thing.
I was shocked to hear that I can never shoot video while I'm playing because it just is such a distraction for me. It doesn't slow the round down as much, but just setting it up for every shot and then thinking about it, it just takes me away from golf. And that's why I feel badly that, I've always wanted to do more on video and photos when I'm playing, but I don't want to post the same course every time. I don't want to, take away from my enjoyment of where I'm traveling to. It's hard. It's work.
Yeah, it definitely is work. But the thing that gets me through it is, like, I don't think my wife will allow me just to go play golf for fun anymore with the kids around and stuff. It's like, you're just leaving me to go play golf for fun? But if I'm able to tell her, hey, I'm working, this is work. So now when I go out to the golf course, I really don't have any choice. If one time I came home from golfing and I said, oh, the camera battery, I didn't bring the right battery. and I wasn't able to film it. She was like, "So you were just out there playing just to play?" I was like, "Yeah, today I was."
Oh
so,
my gosh, Brendon, she's then going to start asking, how much money are you bringing in with this work that you're doing?
Yeah, right. If this is work, shouldn't it be earning something?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. It's when you start hearing the foot tapping or the fingers on the table rattling around. It's like,
But I love my wife with every part of my soul. I got to say that, of course. And then
because she's listening.
It's true, and it's true. But she's been super supportive of the whole thing. But so that's been the thing that actually has been. So people say like that's been one of the reasons that I started the channel, was that I was thinking like, man, I have to turn this in. I have to, like, I love golf, and now with the 2 kids, like I have to think of something to make this kind of like, have a reason to do it other than just like, leaving to go play golf. So that's been good. And the other thing that's been really cool is I've been started a couple Be Better golf schools that we had each one of them so far. We've had 2 so far, and we have another 2 scheduled. And the 2 we've done already have been sold out, and the 2 that are coming up are also sold out. So that's like, thank you. Yeah, we did one out in like the Palm Springs area, one here in Long Beach. We're doing one in Williamsburg, Virginia, and then we're doing another one in Long Beach.
And how many people do you get signing up for those when you say sold out?
We had 12 guys for a 2-day school in Palm Springs, and then we had 13 guys for a 1-day school in Long Beach. And those 2 were with this instructor I really believe in, and I've basically taken on his swing philosophy. And it's helped me a lot. His name's Tony Lutzak. So Tony Lutzak is like, he's a PGA instructor from Mississippi, does this thing called the reactionary golf swing. And so Tony came out with his, and he's like the director of instruction for like the full swing part of the Be Better Golf Schools. So Tony came out with his star student, who's Jeff Flagg, who was the 2014 World Long Drive champion. Mm-hmm. So, and then I acted as like the host. So basically, guys come out, they learn from Tony and Jeff, and then my role is really as the host, and also like I do like gamification things where like I play like golf games, like mostly like short game games with the guys and other things, and teaching them just like drills and stuff, So, but also now that I'm like basically a professional, like Tony is I'm kind of mentoring under him, hoping to learn more about how to communicate the ideas that he's done. And then also I would like to eventually, maybe in a couple of years, be able to like do some lessons and stuff, like actually like teach people some stuff as I but at this point right now, I feel like I have a good idea. I have a really good idea of how to make golfers better if they have similar problems to what my problems have been, which is usually like my problem. The hump that I had to get over that made me a lot better was from in the transition, I go extremely hard with my lower body and I leave my hands behind me, get stuck, and then have to flip at it. So I've been able to conquer that, and I can help basically anybody who has that problem. But if people have other major problems or other things that are holding them back, that's the thing that I have to get a lot better with.
Yeah. I feel like I could help people as well, but I avoid swing mechanics at all costs, right? I can help you. I can help you cut a couple strokes just by mental approach and strategic approach and attitude. It's like my all-time favorite line that I use in my game is never follow a bad shot with a stupid shot.
Yeah, right.
Right? It's the best. What have you gotten out of your show? What's the one thing that you just love to, here's a good one for you. You'd love to repeat that you've learned from your show. Anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, the main thing that I think is the most, basically, it's the main thing that I think holds most golfers back is about being in sync and being in sequence with their swing. So most golfers are, in my opinion, and from some of the research that I've seen, so some of the scientists I've interviewed and stuff like that, most golfers are trying to recruit the power from the wrong places, I think. I think most golfers are swinging extremely hard with like what they think are their big muscles. So like, trunk rotation, hard with the legs, twisting with the hips really hard, and like kind of lurching, early extension, that kind of stuff, like really going super hard with the body. And I really think that having your brain in your hands is going to get most golfers so much better if they just keep their mind in their hands and let everything else just react to what their hands are doing. Just freely react, not to hold anything back. Just put the hands on the ball. I had a really interesting conversation just last week with a friend of mine is Jerry Hairston Jr., who was a Major League Baseball player for 16 years. Mm-hmm. He won the World Series with the Yankees and stuff. Anyway, so I was asking him, I said, hey, there's this debate in golf about where does the power come from? What should be in your mind when you're swinging? Should you be and I know that there's the same debate in baseball. Like the Phillies hitting instructor, Matt Stairs, says the hands should lead everything. And Josh Donaldson on the A's, I think.
Nope, Toronto.
Or is he on the Blue Jays now? Yeah, Josh Donaldson on the Blue Jays.
I don't want to go there. Yeah.
Right. Josh Donaldson really thinks that the hips and lower body has to lead everything. I said, what do you think? And he said, well, his key for years and years used to be, and this is totally backwards from what you see in slow motion video, but his key used to be from the start of his swing when he was practicing, he would feel his arms go first, then his shoulders, and then the very last thing he would feel go would be his hips. And I said, well, if I watch a slow motion of your famous home run, that I'll see your hips go first, then your shoulders, then your hands. He's like, yeah, but and that's, I think, the disconnect people are having, is that what you see is not necessarily what you should do. So that's you asked me, the one line that I've gotten is, don't get caught up on what happened. Don't get confused with what happens is not what to do. So with Jerry, he used to think basically his key was to basically totally reverse his sequence, and this would get his entire swing much more synced up. And he showed me a drill that Derek Jeter taught him with. You see baseball players do this all the time, where they leave their body square to the plate or almost facing the umpire, and then they lead the bat and hands out towards the plate, and they just kind of draw it back there and leaving their body closed. So that's the feeling. But then when he actually goes and hits the ball, then you see that slow motion sequence. But that stuff is all happening so fast that you can't control it. You really, I think, golfers, and this is the thing that's really been a big difference for me, is just to not worry so much about what your body's doing and really keep your mind in your hands. So what happens, not what to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, Brendon, it was so much fun to talk to you and to learn about what you're doing, and congratulations on your success and on the schools and your subscriptions in 2 years. I clearly should be hanging this up. If I'm not getting after 12 years of doing this, if not getting contacted by the my alarm's going off telling me that I might be going to play golf today. Stop. So the USGA, if they've never contacted me after doing this for 12 years, and they're not noticing, then maybe no one else is either. So
no,
thanks for getting me really depressed, Brendon. I'm totally sad about this interview, and why did I do this?
Well, how many do we know? What are your metrics? How many Golf Smarter podcast listeners are there? I mean, there's a lot.
Okay, I don't know.
You don't even know. Okay.
It's like I just do it because I love the content. I've had people slap my wrist a number of times, like, why aren't you promoting more? Why aren't you on Twitter? Why? And it's like, because I just want to do the interviews. It's about my own personal quest, and if somebody wants to listen, eavesdrop on my phone calls, hey, go for it. That's fine.
No, they're great. They're great. You're doing a great job. I'll continue to listen to you. And whoever wants to, I would really appreciate following me on Instagram at BB_golf show. And certainly my biggest avenue, like you said, is YouTube. So that's just do a YouTube search for Be Better Golf and click subscribe. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you didn't say that, I was going to ask you to say it.
Oh, well, yeah.
Brendon, thanks so much.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Brendon. So I just have to say that, like Brendon, this game improvement quest has been incredible. especially for me. I know I can tell it has been for him, but for me, it's been amazing. When I started this podcast in 2005, my goal was to talk to people, get advice on ways to improve my game, and elevate my appreciation of the sport. At the time, I was an 18-plus handicap, and that's being generous, and I've successfully lowered my scores, and not by pounding balls at the range, but by listening, learning, and understanding how to play better by playing smarter. And this past weekend, it all came together for me. I had one of the best rounds of my life. Not my lowest score, but on this day, every element of my game worked. My confidence was high. The ball was going to my intended target. I stayed in the moment, which wasn't always easy. But after casting my, like when I found that I was thinking about the next hole or what score I needed to get on this hole, I would return to the present, and I succeeded. My short game was on. I only had 29 putts. Amazing for me. I was driving the ball in the fairway, and I had 4 birdies, and I think that's a record for me. The only double bogey I had the whole day was because of a 3-putt after landing in a greenside bunker. So that day I shot 38 in the front, 39 in the back for a 77. But it was the most fun I've ever had playing golf. So for all the years of frustration, the lousy rounds, inconsistency, I can assure you that golf is fun when you play well. And you can. I know it's possible because not only have I done it, but I get emails on a regular basis from listeners who are saying the same thing. So keep at it. Stay present. Don't get attached to outcome, and just golf smarter. In our next episode, number 600, the man who joined us for episode number 400, what he refers to as My Dinner with Fred, Jim Waldron of the Balance Point Golf Schools, and I discuss the negative impact that the internet is having on golf instruction. If you've heard Jim on, which is a terrible thing to do right after hearing Brendon talking about, being online all the time and learning what he did, but he's gotten better, and hopefully others have as well. But anyway, if you've heard Jim on one of his previous 18 Golf Smarter appearances, you know how engaging he can be and the positive impact he's had on all our games. Please write a review for Golf Smarter wherever you subscribe, and follow us at Golf Smarter on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, then please write to me by clicking on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.